Welcome to the Future of Work, broadcasting live from the Business RadioX studio inside the Max 6 Entrepreneurial Center, where we will discuss how and where people work in entrepreneurial, nonprofit, and small business industries with your hosts, Kyle McIntosh and Al Loveland.
Welcome, everybody, to the September edition of the Future of Work podcast. I'm Al Loveland with my partner here, Kyle McIntosh. How are you today?
Great. How you doing, Al?
That's pretty good. We have three distinguished guests here today. And our topic today is going to be called the stages of success. One of the initiatives that we're having here at Max 6 is that we're working with our owners to kind of help them realize their business objectives to really exceed the expectations that they have. In a lot of cases, when you go to a commercial real estate place that you may go, you pay your rent, you go work, you go home. One of our goals here is that we want to help our members thrive and really do well. And our three guests today have been working with me and Kyle on a process we're calling the stages of success. And we've also had Claudia and Vee have been through our 90-minute strategy sessions. And so we want to kind of talk about like some of the things that they learned, some of the aha moments, and also learn a little bit about their businesses. And actually, Julie's going to tell us, and she's really going to help Kyle here on how you pick football games. Because we have a certain thing, and
Please tell me, Julie, I need it.
And Julie's like in first place, and Kyle got the proverbial goose egg last week, but we'll talk about that later when we have extra things to talk about. So we're going to do a start, and we'll start with you, Julie, and just kind of introduce yourself and kind of take us through like what has gotten you to this point of where you are here at Max 6. Like give us a little condensed version of your journey, and then we'll go around just to introduce yourself. So go ahead.
I'm Julie Martin, and I am with Farmers Insurance. I own J. Martin Insurance Agency. I purchased the agency in 2022. It's actually quite old agency. It started in the 80s with Jim Sergey, and I purchased it. So it's an established agency, but I was a new agency owner when I took over the agency. I went through the Farmers Protege program to learn how to be a farmer's agent, but I had previous experience with another big red company in an earlier life. And in between that, I was a Chamber of Commerce president and CEO for several years in Washington State. Moved down here in 2020.
Okay. Awesome. Vee, how about you there?
Hi, my name is Vee Luna. I'm one of the owners of Moxie Girl. I'm also a real estate agent and an investor as well. So I have been in the cleaning industry since I was 20 years. I'm 38 now. So
Nice.
I think I really like the Airbnb cleaning business because it gives us a lot of opportunity for any industry like that I'm in right now, like the investments and the real estate. And then I have my partner that we decide to join together with the Airbnb cleaning business.
And your partner is?
Hello, Miss Claudia Moreno. I am with my partner, Vee. We have a business together, which is Moxie Girl. So we decided to join forces, and we do residential Airbnb cleaning. And we're getting into a bit of commercial as well. So other than that, I think that we are growing, and we just can't wait to see everything that you guys have to help us with, because that's why we're here. And
Oh, good.
Yes.
and definitely.
So question I have we'll start with you, Julie, is that, when you go and you start and you buy your own business and you start working on things, what are some things that you've learned that you wish you would have known before you started so far?
Well, when I purchased the agency, I was in a triple net lease. So I was very glad to move to Max 6, where I don't have a lot of those extra expenses that I'm paying for someone else in their commercial real estate. So that would have been good to know up front. And I had experience working with businesses from the chamber side of life, but I didn't really have a lot of the strategic knowledge in owning a business, a small business owner. So as a farmer's agent, I'm a franchise owner, basically. So I own my own agency. So I wish I would have known a little bit more about that kind of partnership.
And Vee, so when you started, like what things kind of being there from 20 on, like what things have you learned, like aha moments that have jumped out at you?
Well, right now, I think after this, after the strategy of success, I think the one mistake that I believe we have made is not hiring a company or someone that can show us, like right now, as you and
Kyle.
Kyle are showing us right now. I think if we would have that vision before we start this business, our business would be in a different position. I mean, we have the business, but it's how you cut the cake. That's how we're getting these new strategies, and it's gonna help us a lot. And I wish this would have happened at the beginning of the 2020.
And Claudia, anything that jumped out at you?
I like the fact that, well, like Vee mentioned, I wish I would have known before jumping into it, and knowing how to set our goals first of what we wanted out of the business, or how to get the business and work it and organize it, and all of those things that you guys on that program that you guys have are doing. I think is great. It's a lot of good knowledge that I never thought that it would be out there. And by, I guess, a Max 6 offering that to their tenants to do that, because then you guys are wanting us to succeed in that manner. When Vee told me about the program, I'm like, what is that? It never, was able to be on renting on a space, and then you guys or someone coming in and offering that kind of help for small business owners like us.
Real estate can be such a transactional business. And so the goal has always been, how do we get to the same side of the table as the people that we're serving? And so if we have a lease with you and we're charging you for that lease, we're on opposite sides of the table. And if we're invested in your success because we want you to succeed personally from the heart, I don't know where I pet financially from the pocket, then it's all the same. We want you to be more successful. You being more successful allows you to stick around, to grow, to do these things. It's been an incredible, rewarding experience to just not only focus on the leases. Here it is, we'll put them away, and then call us in a couple of years when the lease is up, but to be a part of it. I have a question sort of going off that question you just asked, Elle. I think about this question a lot. What do I wish I knew that I know now that I didn't know before? And a lot of times I end up with, I don't think anything, because I don't think I know that I would have valued it without going through the hardness of sort of learning in some of that way. But the curiosity I have for each of you is, if you were to start over again then, and you know everything you know now, and you know the stuff you've learned over the last years running your businesses, what did you know before you started your business that you would keep, that gives you something unique in your business? Where did you come from? What experiences did you have prior to starting a business that, if you didn't have that, you might, could have gone to business school or learned exactly how to start up this business, but because it's you, who you are, this gives you a unique advantage in the business?
Well, I think that I bring a unique perspective, having been a chamber executive in the past. I understand the value of relationships and building a relational business rather than a transactional business. And a lot of insurance agencies today are just that. They're just transactional. You pay me for your insurance. I give you a policy. You go away. And I talk to you again when your policy is going to renew. But my agency, we're very relationship oriented. We make sure that people understand where their gaps are, what their insurance covers, what it doesn't cover, what things they need in their business policy, rather than just general liability, that kind of thing.
Cool.
You guys have to, Claudia, we go.
I think that for me, if I would have, like you say, gone to school, right? Maybe have some sort of guidance as to how you can set all, the goals and the things that you would want out of that business to get the most of that business. For someone to, okay, well, you have 10 girls. What are you going to do with this 10 girls or employees? I'm not going to say girls, but employees. What are you going to do with them? Or if you grow more than 10, what are you going to do with that? I guess just kind of like not instructions, but in a way of a guidance of more knowing. No, you start right here, and then you get to grow, and then you go to 3, you go to 4, you go to 5, not going from 1 to 20. So
I wish.
so that's what I wish that would happen a little more. But like you said, what makes us is the experiences, and how we learn is by the mistakes that we do, which is the greatest teacher, and having the experiences is the best, because then now I should have not done that. Then now I know what happens when you do it.
And I think that just from like observing and working with you guys, I'd answer the question for all of you is your work ethic. Like, you guys are working, you're putting time in. Like in a lot of cases, these things don't happen by accident. It puts in a lot of hard work, and that's one thing you guys all have, and that's one thing I appreciate whenever I go around and work with you. For those that don't know, like, the stages of success are 4 different things we're working on. First is understanding what your vision is. The second part of that is understanding the strategy about how you want to get from where you are to where you want to be. The third part of it is actually going out and executing it. And the fourth part about it is, after you go out and do it, is what did you learn from that, and how are you then going to adapt to get better? What I found, like, back to answer your question, back when I was consulting and things like that, when I started out with my business, one of my favorite stories was, and this is how clueless I was. I went out and I said, I want to be the lowest cost consultant out there. And I want to beat people with cost. And I can remember going out, and when someone told me, they said, nobody wants to hire a cheap consultant. And so I went back and I was like, well, I guess. And there's things that you don't know, and because you always think about having the best value. One of our partners, who was on one of our previous podcasts, Scott Romeo, with the strategy expert, he goes back and talks, are you a best value, high cost, or low cost provider? And in a lot of those things, when you start going back and asking the questions, and Vee and Claudia, when we did the 90-minute strategy session with you guys, and you sat down and you went back and looked at your website, and they started asking questions, and then it started having things running through your mind. What I appreciated with you guys afterwards was that sometimes we did these things, and people go back and they'd go back to their week and they'd forget about what we were talking about. I remember I walked back and said hi to you guys one day, and you said, these are the things that we're working on to get better with. When you left that meeting, what things were in your mind, and what jumped out to you? And I was so impressed by you guys, because you actually poured yourself into it to get better. So when you left there, what things did you think about?
It was so funny, because with that, our business was, and it's very successful business, but I think everything, it's I guess the issues that we are having there are internal, not with our clients, not with getting more business. It's more about the stuff that we have, that we don't know how to manage the stuff. So it was kind of like, you told us a lot of things that we didn't even know. So when we got there, they show us, I mean, I don't remember who was the person.
Scott.
And
Yeah.
Scott research all about the company, and I'm like, okay, wait a minute, I didn't know that. Yeah, that's how we make the decision to, you open our eyes and a lot of things that we didn't know. It's like when you're cleaning your house, you always clean the same areas. But when someone else comes and clean your house, they're not gonna clean the same areas as you cleaning. They're gonna clean other areas, and that's what happens with Scott. He came into our business without giving us a thumb up, I'm gonna be there, and he showed us a lot of things. So that's why it opened our eyes in a different world, and me and her, we were like, okay, we gotta do something about this.
Did something jump out to you at all, or?
Oh, yes. I think him just going over the information. Okay, let's look at, like you said, he was in our business without being in the business inside our office, or knowing in our books or anything, knowing who we were, but just researching us, right? But then internal, everything is going on. Internal employees, all of that. The way that he said, okay, first, if you guys want to grow, have more business, then you got to look at what you're offering. What's your website look like? That's where it jumped at me, the website. So I was like, okay, I think we have a pretty good website. But then once he was done, and I was like, oh my gosh, we need to change a lot of things in that website. So that's why my first thing went, back to the girls. It's like, okay, we got to call our web designer and we need to get all these things out, and boom, boom, boom from there. And we executed it because the importance that he told us about how would you capture viewers or, anyone that visits your website. I'm like, yes, that's our face. They don't see us, but they see this, so we got to change that. So that's the first thing that we went and go and change.
And with that, everything was perfect.
Yeah, on the website.
It's
On the website, and then
it's interesting. Like, I'll bring it back to a house cleaning thing. If someone were to come into my house and lift up the rug and say, "Look at all this stuff underneath here. We're going to clean this," and it might feel embarrassing to me, but instead, the question, why haven't I been doing this, is maybe not the right question, but how would I have known? I'm just doing what I know. I'm doing everything. I'm as successful as I could be with what I've known. But someone shows you how to lift up the rug, and you either say, I'm ashamed of the past and just put that back down. I don't want to deal with it. Or, cool, I can lift up the rug and now I know how to do this too. And that's awesome.
and that's what happened to us. Realistically, that's what happened, and that meeting, like we were just like, like I personally, I didn't want Scott to say anything else. I was feeling like guilty. I was feeling like, what's don't talk about more about the business. Just
But it was great. It was great
great.
information and a lot of analytic stuff that he was doing with it. It was just awesome.
Yeah, and I would share with these guys, and I've got a sister who has a cleaning business, and I think I share with this story is that there's my clean and then there's Andrea clean, and like I can remember she came out to my apartment and she came and says, "You see this? You see that?" And I know when she's home, she's yeah. I used to have a couple of nicknames for her that I can't share here, but anyway, Julie, I want to tell a quick story. And this is something when you go back and you look at your business and you look at like problems and challenges that you have, and sometimes you don't deal with them. And I'll just share this as a quick aside about when you focus on problems. Julie and I had back-to-back meetings on Fridays where we went back and we worked on things. And I can remember 3/4 of the way through our first one, I went back and I looked over at the window and I said, "What is that?" And I looked over and I saw some puddling out by some of our landscaping. And I said, I have to call on this. Do you remember me saying that? And then before our next meeting, we went back and I went to grab a pen and I stepped and I'm like, "What is this?" And the rug was soaked. And so I was like, "Oh my goodness." And so we had to end up calling the landscapers, then the plumbers came out, and then we thought we had it fixed. And then Monday we had a flood in there. And like in a lot of cases, you have one of these things when you have like your business and you see something and you say, "Oh, that's not a problem." Rather than going back and saying, now whenever I see a puddle that's around the place because the grout wore out and all the water leaked into our place and we got out bad rugs and things like that you're always out fixing. And so, Julie, what we were working on in those sessions is kind of creating a plan for, a new hire, because one of the big challenges that a lot of businesses have is when you grow to that next person. You go out, you do things for yourself, and then you want to get people to go do things that you want them to do. And it's such a struggle. I know Kyle has a lot of problems like that with me. So,
You're one of the good ones.
Yeah.
Al.
Anyway, so Julie, like when, your experiences back in the chamber, and now your experience about running your agency, what skills, like in hiring and bringing people on and training them, what skills have transferred well from your time in the chamber, and what skills now are you looking that you need? And from our conversations, what was helpful about it?
I find it to be very different because when I was in the chamber, we were event planners, coordinating things with the city, working on land use and economic development. So my focus was very different than running a business. And so I've struggled a lot with, I don't want to be a micromanager. I want to say, you're an adult, you know how to do your job. You've been in sales, go do your job. And it felt like micromanaging to say, how are you doing? What are you doing? And so it was kind of an epiphany, a little bit of an aha moment for me when we were talking about this. And you said, well, kind of change my perspective of instead of it being micromanaging, we're a team and here's my plan, you're working on my plan. And then using the metrics to say, is this working? Are we allocating resources correctly? Do we need to make adjustments? And that felt more of a team environment to me, which is the culture that I'd like to create. So it was very helpful to me.
Business would be easy if it wasn't for all these people, right? That's so I'm curious with both of your businesses here. I'm sure there are some issues that outside of just post COVID and everything, the world's changed and real estate's changed. All of it's changed. But like there would be easy things like we're in an office, not everyone wants to come back to an office, or I don't know what all those things are, but have there been what are some interesting things from the people side of business that each of you have experienced? Or as I say, the business is easy except for all these people. It's also the most wonderful part of business or life as well. And so do you see some things that are working really well with your team? Oh, if we could do more of this, that would be awesome.
Going to the strategies of success, our business is gonna grow in both ways, with our employees, with our customers as well. So it's gonna have a big impact. That's what I think.
Cool.
I think the accountability or we need to do and we need to put in place is accountability with all the people that we work with. Because then, let's say her and I, like while we're going through the program, then if we don't have our employees going through the program, then to me, I feel it's not going to work because we're not opening up the mind of, okay, let me see what they're doing as owners and let me see what they're doing as an employee. What are their thought process? Because we have two different processes, thought process. You should already done this and this and that. And then you got the employee that, well, I don't have this and that, or it's too much work, or things like that. So accountability for both parts and being able to work together and get the owners, managers, and us working together, I think that we can make changes and continue to grow with this program that I didn't think that it could be possible, but it is.
Very cool.
They're very happy. They were very happy, very excited, and they just went back to the office and said, I'm gonna do this and this and this. I'm like, wait a minute, what's going on? What happened? What did they give you over there? We were really afraid. We were really kind of like afraid that, things were gonna be a different way. But
So they were pretty positive coming back today?
Yes, they were,
Yes.
which is very hard because then for them it's kind of like when they went in there, like, why we have to go there? Why we gotta, or like, what is
Tell
it
us.
about? And just go. This is the steps. We already did our part as owners. Now you got to do your part. Go. And they came back like,
Now we're all
yes,
together.
I
Now
like
we're
it.
all
We're
a part
working
of
together.
this.
Yes. And now we gotta extend it over to our actual employees, but we'll see how that goes on that end.
And there was another thing that one of them noticed, like they work as team, but she noticed that this person doesn't have, what the other person has, like,
Capabilities
yeah.
of doing
Oh, she
certain
can do
things.
this, she can multitask, but the other one can't. So it was kind of like, oh my goodness, without us telling them, because it's hard when we as owners tell employees, there is employees that they take it like very offensive, and there's employees that they're like, okay, I can do this. But it was something good that they work in, and you work with them, and they noticed few things that me and her, we noticed a long time ago, but it was kind of like, how can we, get close to them and let them know that this is what's going on. So
It's great.
we really appreciate this strategy of success.
Yeah, there's two analogies that I love, and what I think I shared with both of you is that you're being a lion, right? Like one thing I always would go out and there'd be a lion, and the people out on the floor are the antelope. And a lot of times when you go back and whenever you go back and you see the line, you start worrying about your job, is that fight or flight thing comes in and your brain starts getting very nervous. You become very defensive and you're not open up to the changes that are there. And then the second thing is always Scott Romeo listen to this, always have a Peter Drucker thing in there as they talk about, classical music. You have a composer, you have a conductor, and you have the people that play the music. And the question I always ask is, are you playing beautiful music? And in a lot of cases, that as we went through the vision is, how do you want this and how do you want the music to sound like? And then you have to go back and get your managers to go out and get the staff to play that music. And then you have to do it in a place where it's actually making money for that. Because I went back and part of the things that I shared with them today is that, we're all cost. I'm a cost. And I shared. And one of the things that I went up was because there are a couple of things they've been asking me that I haven't gotten for them. And I went back and I shared that, hey, I screwed up. And here's how and why I screwed up. And here's some things that I missed. And I went back and I relayed that to them. And, it's like these similar things happen in every business to every person. And nobody's perfect. And, Julie, in our conversations it's like, how do you get that person to see? Because one of the questions that I asked of you is, do you want the person to figure it out? Or are you going to figure it out for the person and have them execute the strategy that you want them to do? And I remember that was one thing in our conversation where you said, I want them to do stuff. But then as we started to get into it, it's like, I know what I want them to do. I don't want to be micromanagement, but this is how I want them to execute my strategy. And I think that, like when you get people on the same page and they're singing the same tune, then it's easier because, when you have people that are, constantly fighting at each other, it's too hard if you're always at each other's throats and things like that. And so when you're there working and you're talking the same language and then you're working on fixing problems rather than kind of blaming each other, then great things happen. So one thing that I want to kind of chat about, like with the stages and things like that, is that you guys are all successful in doing multiple, especially you guys are serial entrepreneurs and things like that. And, so like with the time management and the balances of things like that, how are you with like juggling things? Because in a lot of times, when Julie's going back and she's back studying her football picks and things like that. And, how you have time to do that stuff is, how do you guys like kind of, spend that time like focusing on like the keeping yourself personally healthy, professionally healthy, and, having time to do all those other things? And how do you work on that? And that's one of the things like with the stages piece is that we want to kind of get to the piece where you're not spending a lot of time doing, superfluous things, like, so Julie, go ahead. And so you work a lot, right?
I do.
Yeah.
I do. I'm heading into Medicare season now.
Okay.
So on top of my regular property and casualty business, I'm working on getting things set up for Medicare for AEP. So that is huge because it's 59 days, right? People only have 59 days to choose their plan for the next year. And I want to help them. And I feel very passionate about that because I think seniors are a vulnerable population and I want to make sure that they're well taken care of. So it is a balancing act to be able to take care of myself and my family, as well as make sure my business is running smoothly, making sure I have the right people in place, so that I can take that time. And I'm having Scott over here at the Mind and Body is really helpful because it's right, 2 doors down from my office. So I'm working on trying to make sure that I set an alarm on my phone and go over there and work out while he's there to help with that.
Yeah, because that's something, when you're working on Medicare and you're working on the insurance, and they're two different things. And so like when you have those people there and you have a process in place, it allows you to be confident that people are doing things that you want you to do. So then you're able to do other things. That was one of the conversations we had today about how you communicate that certain things are done so the mind's not racing and somebody feels like they have to be in control of everything all the time. And so it's more like about learning those techniques, because then that frees up time for you to do other things to be successful and things like that. So Vee, you are kind of a Renaissance woman and have a lot of different things that you work on. How do you go back and how do you like balance those things? And, what challenges do you have with that?
I try to manage everything at the same time. When I have, I try to wake up early so I can do all my real estate business, and then most of the day I spend here in Moxie because at this point I think it's the business that needs a lot of help. But at this point, I was feeling like I was not putting a lot of time in my real estate business, and I was putting a lot in the Moxie business. So now that the strategies of success are in our minds, I think that's gonna help me to balance again. Because right now, I don't know, the Moxie took me off from where I was always like doing few hours here, few hours here and there. But right now, I'm just like, it's all about Moxie. So I think it's because Moxie grow pretty significant, and we have business now in Sedona. So
Wow.
not only in Tempe, in Sedona. So now I don't know how to manage my time because I'm a mom. I have a 17 years old as well. So, and then I do investments as well. So it's hard for me to manage all this. But I think with the strategies of success, they're gonna help me to kind of like put the time where I have to put my thoughts.
And that's one of the key things with that is to be able to get the actionable intelligence for you to be able to see things and make decisions with. Because that's one of the things at the end of the process that we'd love to have for you guys to do is to spend times making decisions rather than spending times doing things that you're paying people to do. And so, because again, from the standpoint is that, at the end of the day is that, like when you're making the right decisions and you're putting people in the right places, then it frees up that most valuable asset for you is time. And so that's one of the reasons why I asked the question is that, Julie, as we kind of help you upstairs in the space and get you settled in for that. And then as you get people in and it's that communication piece. And Claudia, that's what I loved you said is that, are we singing from the same song sheet or are we on the same page? And then once people start coming back and giving you that information, then it makes you easier to go back because then you're confident that's being done, rather than going, okay, what's going on here? What am I worried about? Because when you're worried, to your point, Vee, is that you're like, okay, I got to dig into this. I'm spending all my time in this. And it's like, that's more frustrating time. And that's what we were talking about, Julie, about how when you don't know what's going on and then like relationships begin to sour, people start getting mad at each other. And as I always say, drama is fun to watch on TV. It's not fun to live through, right? Can we all agree with that?
Yes.
Yes. Kyle, you know all about that, don't you?
I agree.
Yes.
I think something that's interesting that you guys have spoken to a little bit, and I just hope to continue to see from the three of you, is this stuff is I think as a business owner, as a business leader, we think about these things for ourselves, right? Like, I have so much going on. I've got this business, and then I do this other stuff that's business. I do this other club. I have kids, all these things, and how do I balance all of it? And there's practical and ways to think about it and to really balance it more effectively, or to just pick fewer things or whatever those are. Every single person is going through a version of that in their life all the time. So as you have employees and you're thinking about, all right, they're dealing with the same exact conundrum in a different way about whatever stuff they're thinking through. You're learning this at all is being a leader for them to show them, here's ways that I can step up and do the things that I love and have focus on a broad array of life instead of just feeling either good or bad about my job based on how I did today. And then that's the only thing I'm focused on. If I screwed one thing up, that's it. Forget going home to my kids and they tell me about a new book they wrote about some penguin or whatever that's, should be amazing. Especially paired with too, it's kind of come up a couple of times, this accountability thing. And I have and had a hard time with the difference between accountability and micromanaging as well. And how, all right, the last thing I want to do is squash somebody so that they feel like I'm taking away their autonomy or ability to shine. And yet, without accountability, they don't have connection to what they're doing enough to really feel the reward of getting the thing done and going home and feeling good about it at the end of the day. And so, like, what is a business other than a vessel that creates value for the world while giving people an opportunity to feel like, here's my purpose in life and I got to accomplish that. There's no way to do that without accountability. Even if you are giving it to them, people still have to bring more of that into it. And so it's exciting. These are the most difficult things in the world they don't teach you this in business school. Someone says for the 10th time, I just didn't feel like coming into work today because whatever. It's like, what do I do this time? But these conversations and how you guys will continue to lead people as you go here is going to be pretty exciting to see.
Yeah, it's one of the things that like I just want to jump off a thing like that. We can talk about like what you made me think of is the sword of Damocles. Are you guys familiar with that story at all? It was a thing of an ancient ruler. You know, one of the employees came in. They said, or he said, "Boy, what you do is so easy. You wake up, you make a couple of decisions." Back then in the day, they went back to their harem. They could execute people. They could tell people what to do. And he goes, "I wish I could do that." And he said, "You know what? Monday," he said, "why don't you come in and do it, and I'll be you." He said, "That's great." So the guy came in, did the work, told some people what to do, went back, had some lunch. He was back there, you know, with the ladies in the harem, and all of a sudden he turned ghastly white. And he said, "What's that above my head?" He said, "Oh, that's a sword." And he said, "At any time, we could be attacked, the economy could crater, and all these problems that could happen. And you're responsible for making that decision. And if that line breaks, you're gone." And he said, "Do you want to be king anymore?" He said, "No, I don't." And he ran out of there. And one of the things with you guys as business owners is that a lot of times from an employee standpoint is they don't understand responsibility. You know, it's like a lot of times the investment and things like that. And, you know, to go back, and you both have talked about putting investments in to buy a company. You didn't use that with monopoly money. You know, it's not something that you laid out, and it's something that you have to do. And that's when they always went back, and I always tell, like Kyle, if I ever want to tell you what to do, I'll go back and I'll write a check for $10 million to be able to buy the buildings for you guys, to be able to go out and do it myself. Until then, I got to fall in line to what to do. Or if you want to go back and put some of your money where your mouth is, let's go. Until then, you've got to go back and listen to what we have to say.
That was pre-inflation now. We're going to have to talk.
Yeah, we'll talk about that, yeah. So a question for you now is that, and Kyle was alluding to this before, like when you're dealing with people and like the things that you don't learn and want to get people to work on things, how has that been for you in your work journey? And like what things have you learned from that, like as like dealing with people and having them do what you want them to do?
That's a loaded question. Yes, it's hard to deal with people. Sometimes just saying, "I just want to be me," and just deal with myself, because then I know what it is that I have to do. But then having that position of having other people that are looking at you for answers or tell me what to do, then also the feelings, emotions, everything. You got to understand this hurt me being part of this, because I run, you know, other businesses as well myself, other things that of the juggling, like you're saying. And in me, I wasn't used to dealing with 10 people. I was dealing with an assistant and maybe 2 other people, and that's it. So everybody knew what to do. But then now when you're dealing with 10, 15, and different emotions and all these things that you want to convey, that's the hardest part to do. But when you know, and you go through classes or programs that they're offering it to you, there is a value there, because then you can grab that, then communicate, then, you know, get well, they're doing it, then you have to do it because we're doing it as a company, as a whole. So learning with them is how they're feeling, what's going on besides what we see when they come in at work, because we don't know what's going on inside their houses. That's why sometimes we let them know, hey, whenever you guys come here, you guys leave everything behind at home. Come here with the attitude to work, to be kind to each other, and, you know, to give it your all. And I mean, we understand that we get mad, we're angry. So and so said this, so and so said that. I'm going like, this is so much, and we've
Yeah.
been dealing with that on having a lot of employees. So
It's because, like, I think about this about the employees. In reality, it's not 15 different employees. It's 15 different worlds because they think differently. And now what I'm getting about the program that you guys are helping us right now, I just realized that as soon as your business starts growing and you are hiring more people, more employees, you need to look for help because there is certain ways to talk with the employees, and us as owners, we are giving them our heart. We feel, but sometimes it was hard for us to talk with the three in the office, and we didn't know how to get to the point, to get answers, and it was so easy with you guys that you guys have the experience. You guys didn't have to talk about how you guys feel, nothing like that. I mean, you just like, I don't know what you guys did, but you guys got the answers that we couldn't get the answers for so long. So now I just realized that most of the companies, the big companies, the owners never get involved. The managers never get involved. All the employees they get, the owners that just hire this coach and is gonna come and talk to them and tell them what to do. And the owners, there's no hard feelings. So with you and our with this is try your success, everybody's happy right now, and there's no feelings involved, and that's what we love. And I think now this is the great time. Like God's time, it's always perfect because now in the position that we are right now, we start growing. I mean, without asking, you guys came into us just at the right moment, and I thank God because, and we were saying, thank God because you really, He knew what we need. This is just helping our business in so many ways. So thank you, thank you, thank you for everything.
yes.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Julie, how about yourself with working with people? You've, from your chamber days till now, like, tell us about some of your lessons and lessons learned. And
It's really different owning a business. A chamber is a nonprofit, so it's very different. Again, it was helping businesses connect with community and community connect with businesses, running city events. So I worked with a lot of volunteers, and working with volunteers is different than managing employees. And I'm really fortunate. When I took over the business, I had more employees than I have now, but the insurance industry has been disrupted and things have changed. And so I'm down to 2 core employees. My daughter runs my marketing, so she's very invested. It's a family business with her. And then my key employee, Rebecca, is she's very knowledgeable and personable and experienced. So together we make this great team, right? So now I'm going to be hiring a producer to come in and do sales for us, but I want to make sure I'm not going to upset that balance. And so your perspectives have really helped me change my pattern of thinking and my perspective of how I'm going to approach this and how I'm going to manage that person and really keep my team focused and together and not have some of those big feelings that people get when you bring somebody new into the team.
are you ready for a little shocking piece of news? We're almost at an hour. So anyway, yes.
We made it.
You made it. Yes, you made it. So
Fast.
before we go, got a question. Julie, since we're running out of time, we can contract you to consult Kyle so he can get his picks a little bit better. in
Oh yeah,
football.
you're gonna have to add tutoring me to your list of your balancing of other stuff.
It's a lot of luck.
Yeah.
Well, I'll take it.
So to kind of close out here, if you guys could give us like your name, your website or your improved website, and how people can find you and how they can contact you to get great insurance and get their Airbnb house clean. So, Julie, you want to start?
I'm
Yeah.
J. Martin Insurance Agency. The easiest way to find me is not to look for my website because farmers made that as difficult as possible, but just Google Julie Martin Insurance Farmers Insurance, and they'll find me.
So we have Moxie Girl. So you can reach us at actually our website is www.moxie-girl.com. Any residential clean, any Airbnb clean needed in Tempe,
Construction.
all the near neighborhoods, Scottsdale, all the East Valley. West, we're not so much in the West, but yes, they can give us a call.
Moxie.
Yeah, info at I'm sorry, I'm trying to give the
Moxie.
email. No, Moxie-girls was MOXIE-girl.com.
And that's one thing that not to confuse them with Moxie Pest Control that we have here. We're
I
like
did not know that you
Yeah.
guys had them.
Yes, I have.
I'm like, Moxie, yeah, call Moxie. And I'm like,
Yes.
that's us. And it's like, no, the pest control.
Pest Control. Kyle, any final thoughts?
As I said, I'm just excited for you guys. And we've talked about parenting a couple of times. And one of the most hilarious things to me about parenting that happens sometimes is I'm trying to set an example and I tell them this is the right thing to do. You don't say curse words. And then they hear me say a curse word and they're reteaching me. And so that'll be, I think, a rewarding day for all of you. It's the employees are like not just learning from you, but you see it come to life where they're like, hey, did you think about this? Remember that thing we're talking about? Did you think about this? You're going to be like, whoa, my employees are not just people I tell to do things, but they're bringing all this other value as well at the same time. And so I'm so excited for all you guys for all three of you and your businesses to just really thrive in the ways that you guys want.
Well, we want to thank you for your time and great insights. And, the main thing is that we want to share again is the stages of success, understanding your vision, your strategy, and then going out and doing it. And then the important thing that we're going to get to the fourth stage with you guys is once you go out and you start doing it, what are we learning from it? And how are we getting better? It's that continuous improvement. And when you get that continuous improvement, then things start going well, less drama, more performance, and a lot of fun. Thanks, everybody, for joining us today, and look forward to seeing you again next month. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Go Hawks.
You've been listening to The Future of Work with Kyle McIntosh and Al Loveland. The business world is changing around us. Why not thrive in an environment of flexibility, growth, and community?